Hello everybody. I thought about rebuilding my Raspberry Pi cluster and thought, why don't I just do a quick 1 or 2 minute clip of the existing one before I disassemble it. So what we've got here is we've got 28 Raspberry Pi 4s. The one I use as the main server is actually this one with the power lead. It's different from everyone else, so I can pull it out and pull it back in, and all the rest are on a mains power lead. It was used for prototyping Kubernetes based systems, and there's 6 of them with small SSDs, and then below it we've got some networking switches, and then down the wall we've got all the power cables. A bit hard to film, but you can see we've got 30 power cables coming up. So I thought I'll give you a quick snippet of the cluster. We've got 2 Raspberry Pi 5s to add in as well, and let's see what we can build. And that's why it's getting rebuilt. Ubuntu 25.04 is out today, so the software inside my cluster is 5 years old. The SD cards are starting to fill up, and it's going to be easier just to wipe it and restart again. So I'm surprised it's 5 years old, but there we go. It has evolved over time. And one thing I would recommend is when you buy your SD card, either buy SanDisk or Samsung. I had so much problems with the SD cards failing, just the cheap ones from Amazon. So what I did was I just downloaded it from the Raspberry Pi installer, and then I used SSH keys between all the things. We'll have a close look at this in a wee minute. And then it's very like the other films. It's update, upgrade, disable firewall, stop the app armor stuff to get in the way, turn off swap. So what's new is we disabled Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, because you don't want 30 boxes just napping all your Wi-Fi from the house. Set the host name, and we do a command line update, and then the network. We update the network with an IP address. This command with the semicolon, net plan apply, that means changing the IP address, but at that point you get cut off. So we do the semicolon, which means we then run the second command and it reboots. So whatever IP address it comes up with the first time, we apply it and reboots, and it comes back in the second one. This is the authorized key, which we will look at a wee second, but that lets you jump from 1 to 1. With the newer version of the OS, the networking's changed. So we're going to learn this from scratch again, but basically we set the network, the host name, these 2 IP addresses. This is the router in my house that's used for DNS, and 8888 is Google's DNS server. So this was the hardest bit to work out how to run containers on the Raspberry Pi, and it was changing the firmware line and adding the lines in red. And C groups are evolved from container groups and stuff like that. So we're going to work out what the headache is in the new version when we do the rebuild, and then amended the host file with all the IP addresses of all the machines we had. And then this was the script to install Kubernetes. K3s work like a dream. We used different when I was building different types of projects or prototyping different projects, we used different types of Kubernetes and Unix, or Linux. But this is what we did with Rancher, and you can see Rancher builds up and is quite nice. So what we'll do is we'll do a more up-to-date version when we rebuild it. The main Raspberry Pi box. When I say it's the main one, it's the one with 4 gig of RAM. Every other one's got 8 gig of RAM, so I use this as the control box. And the secret is the .ssh folder. When we rebuild it, we'll look at this in detail. But we've got some files. So we've got unauthorized keys, which is the public keys of all the boxes it knows about, and the private key. So that lets us log on to other boxes without a password. So we've got a nice wee script. So it's called Pi Cluster. Let's have a wee look at the history of Pi Cluster. So what it does is it runs the same command on every box in the cluster, which is really handy. So what we're going to, so as you can see, I use it for patching everything, for shutting them all down, for upgrading them, So let's have a wee look at this Pi cluster. We'll look at the script in a second, but host name and uptime. So host name tells us the server's name, semicolon, then run the second command, which is uptime. So if we do this, it'll take a while, and you can see that it takes 2 or 3 seconds to jump onto every box. So that's Pi 01, Pi 02. So they've all been running for a long time. Apart from this box itself, which has just been rebooted, so that I could get onto it. So I could control C it, or I could actually let you sit and watch it. I don't know what you want to do. I'll just control C it. So if we cat Pi cluster, all you can see is the %1 is the variable you've typed in. So we type Pi cluster and hostname and then uptime. So it showed you that. So all we're doing is we're SSH with the private key to the box as the Ubuntu user. So it just does that for every user, and then we took the box we're on out of sequence and put it at the end, and that's if in case we're doing a patch them all and shut down. I want the box we're on to be the last one, and just so you know it's valid, here's the script I used to put a Kubernetes cluster along them all. So we use K3s. So what it does is it downloads K3s, does a server install on the first box, and this token secret, this is actually the password. So there's no magic. If you do Kubernetes properly, there are secure ways of doing it, but I just use a password secret is the secret between all the things. And if someone looks at the script, it's not obvious, but the password is actually secret. The second box comes along, and it's an agent of the Kubernetes cluster. So it joins, and it becomes a node and the controller. So this is what it does. You just look on this, it takes about an hour, and it installs it on, I think, 28 boxes. On 28 boxes, then it runs some Kubernetes across the whole thing. So this puts on some certificates to install Rancher. So JetStack makes certificates. Rancher themselves have got a nice platform tool. But we'll get various configs that we'll look at in the future. But that's a look at the cluster before I tear it all down. Thank you.